What's up guys, you're welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll show you how to make this tie knot dress. So let's get started. First, you fold your fabric into two places. So I'm going to cut the top part first, and then I'm going to cut the front bodice first. And then you take the length of the top part. For mine I'm using 17 inches, and then I added 1 inch for seam allowance, so I have 18 inches. And then I'll take the shoulder measurement. So you divide your shoulder measurement by 2. For mine I have 8 inches. You mark it here. So it's your shoulder measurement divided by 2. And then for the armhole I'll use 9 inches. You mark your 9 inches. And then you draw a line down to this place. Next, you take your bust measurement. So you divide your bust measurement by 4. Mine I have 36 inches. Divided by 4, I have 9 inches. And then I'll add 2 inches for seam allowance. So I have 9 inches for my bust measurement and added 2 inches for seam allowance. And then on the bottom here I'll take waist measurement. So for my waist measurement I'll divide it by 4. I have 8.5. And then add 2 inches for seam allowance. So on the armhole I'll come here and take 1 inch to make the armhole curve. And then I'll draw the curved line here. And then on the shoulder I'll just come down by half an inch. So I'll draw the line for the shoulder slant down to this place. And then I'll cut. After cutting, we'll set this aside. To cut the back bodice, we'll fold the fabric again into 2 places. And this time we'll fold it a bit bigger. So we'll place the front bodice on the back bodice. And you leave 1 inch, 1 to 2 inches on this side for zip allowance. And then you cut it out. Cut the back bodice into 2. Only the back bodice. For the neckline, I'll use 3 inches for the width. You mark 3 inches for the width, and then you mark 1 inch for the back depth. So you cut this out first. You draw a curved line here before cutting. And then you cut this out. To mark the darts, you place your tape right in the center fold and you mark 4 inches. And then you mark 5 inches upwards. So I marked 4 inches and then 5 inches upwards like this. I'll just notch it here and then transfer it to the back bodice. You transfer your darts to the other bodice. So I've done it for mine. And then you set the back bodice aside. So for the front neckline, you come down by 8 inches, or I came down by 8 inches. And then I'll mark it here. And then I'll drag the line down to my 8 inches. And then I'll cut. You can make it deeper than this if you like. For the armhole, I'll come in by 4 inches. And just mark it here. And then take half an inch off. Just mark it out like this. And then I'll cut it out also. So I'm cutting out half an inch from the armhole. So on the front bodies, I'll come over here and mark 1.5 inches. And then mark 3 inches upwards. I'll mark 3 inches upwards. And then I'll draw a V-shaped line here like this. I'll draw a V-shaped line. And I'll cut. So you can make this wider or higher, but I'll make mine 3 inches higher, 3 inches high, and 1.5 inch wide. So the next thing I'll do is to go ahead and cut my front and back bodies on my lining fabric. So I went ahead to fold my lining fabric into 2 and then placed my front bodies on it. So I'll go ahead and just cut it out. So you repeat the process for the back bodies. So here's the lining for the back bodies. For the sleeves, you fold your fabric into 4 places. So you have 4 layers. And then the length of mine is 9 inches, and then I added 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll just go ahead and mark out my sleeve. So for my armhole, I have about 11 inches. So I'll add some extra inches for the pleats. So I have 14 inches. And then I'll just draw a line down to this place. And then I'll cut. And then you notch the middle of the sleeve. Go ahead and place your lining on the right sides of your fabric. And then you sew the neckline from here down to this place. And then you sew the sides. And then you sew the peephole also. You leave the armholes. For the back bodies, you also sew the neckline, the zip allowance, and the sides. And then you leave the armholes. After sewing it together, you go ahead and notch the corners. You do the same for the peephole. Just to make it more relaxed. And then for the back side, you notch the neckline. And you do the same for the other side of the back bodies. So the next thing is to flip your pieces inside out and then go ahead and iron it. After ironing, you go ahead and mark the dart line and then you go ahead and sew the dart. You go ahead and iron the dart after sewing. And next thing is to join the shoulders together. So with the right sides facing each other, you go ahead and sew the shoulders together. After joining the shoulders together, you go ahead and pin the notched part of your sleeve. With the right sides facing each other, you pin it to the shoulder, and then you pin this part to the edge, and then you pin the other edge to this part, and then you go ahead and sew. So when you get to around this area, you start making your pleats, and you stop around this area too. I'll show you when I'm done. So here's the sleeves. I made about 10 pleats around the shoulder area. The next thing is to go ahead and join the sides of the top part. So you're sewing from the sleeve down to the waistline. You do the same for the other side too. So I've cut out a rectangular shape of fabric measuring 2 yards plus 12 inches for the length and then 30 inches for the width. So I'm going to use this for the bottom part of the dress. You fold it and then you notch the middle of the top part. You go ahead and open the top part like this, and then you take the bottom part. We're just going to pin this here for now with the right sides facing each other. We'll pin it here. Take one edge of the bottom part and then you pin it to the edge of the top part. You go ahead and start pleating. You leave at least 1 inch and then you start pleating. You start pleating as you sew. You sew it together, and then when you get to this part, the peephole, you just pleat it. You take off the pin and then pleat it through this place, and then continue from here down to the end. So I've gone ahead to pleat the bottom part to the top part, and then when I got to the peephole side, I just pleated it like this. So when you get to the peephole side, you just continue pleating. You go ahead and try your dress on to check the placement of your peephole. So for the lining, I've cut out 1 yard and 20 inches for the length and 26 inches for the width. So next, you take the dress, you place it like this, and then you take your lining. I mark the midpoint of the lining. I'll place it here, and then I'll pin it. And then I'll pin the edge of the lining to the edge of the dress. So I'll go ahead and sew it. I'll go ahead and make some pleats as I'm sewing. I'll sew it on the main dress. You just make some pleats till you get to the end of the dress. After fixing the lining to the dress, I went ahead to top stitch this area. So the next thing is to fix your zipper. So to fix the zipper, you just fold your dress like this with the right sides facing each other. You place your zipper here to measure the length of where to stop, or to measure where your zipper is going to stop, and then you mark it. So I want my zipper to stop around this area. So you go ahead and make a straight stitch down to the end of the dress. Place your zipper on one side, so you're sewing like the right side of the zipper to the right side of the dress. You place it here, and then you sew it down to the end, and then you do the same for the other side. You place it here, and then you sew it down to the end. You sew it and you stop around this area, or you stop around the spot. So the zipper is all done. For the front tie, I cut out a piece of fabric measuring 40 inches long and 3.5 inches wide, and then I sewed it together, and then I ironed it. So I'll go ahead and tie it on the front. Lastly, you go ahead and hem the sleeves, and then you hem the bottom of the dress, and that's it. So here's the tie knot dress. Please like and share this video. Please give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel if you have not. I love you for watching. Thank you.